Well, good morning and God's morning to you. Welcome to this week's broadcast of Apostle of the Future. Last week, we talked about the top 10 mistakes that mentees make that can blow up their future, basically, that can destroy their future. Today, as you can see, we're going to address 10 mistakes that mentors make when choosing mentees. So tell your friends, good morning, good morning. Share that we're live today. Been in a mentorship vein for several weeks now, maybe a couple of months, in addressing the mentor mentee issue. This is still tied to the future, apostle of the future, because if you cannot choose the right mentee, if you are not under the right mentor, then your future is going to be off. God's future is going to be off. Think about how many combinations of mentors and mentees that we've seen and that we know that are an absolute hot mess. Just the two worst people who could possibly be together. And how does that happen? How does that happen? So today, good morning, good morning, good morning to everybody. All right. Hi, Carol, Marcia Shannon co-worker. Thanks for tuning in this morning on Apostle of the Future. Hope you learned something new today. Good morning on social media all over the place. I'm looking at all my places. Good morning, Patricia Webb from the front of the embassy. Thanks for tuning in. I appreciate you, Patricia. Never missing a broadcast. Okay. And so last week, man, we went in on the subject of addressing the pitfalls, the mistakes that you can make, the ones because, our contemporary doctrine really teaches us that no matter what we do, Jesus will love us, he'll forgive us, and it'll be fine. That's actually not in scripture. And even on a basic level in life, we know that's not true. There are mistakes that you can make in your career that will destroy your career. There are things, telling off your boss. You just think they're one person. You have no idea how many people they know in the sphere or the field in which you are a professional, and how they can close doors because people will ask them, well, what about so and so? Well, what is it like working with them? What is it like doing business with whatever? And then all of a sudden, people aren't calling you back. They change their minds on interviews. They reassign you to other places in the company away from them. It can really happen. And that is how it happens behind the scenes and behind closed doors. Today, we're jumping into, once again, 10 mistakes mentors make when choosing mentees. This is really important. So now we are, even whether you're a mentor or you're a mentee, today's lesson is just for you, because you have to understand what a mentor should and should not be doing. And so, as a mentee, if you're watching this, and maybe a future mentor, but if you're watching this as a mentee, you might see some things that maybe your mentor is not doing, and maybe you can ask about it. If you're a mentor and you have mentees or people that you're teaching and training, this lesson is specifically for you, but it really is for anybody in this relationship. If one day you hope to be a mentor, you're like, one day I'm going to be a boss, God is giving you a word, whether it's a ministry or it's out in a whole other career field, it really doesn't matter. This information is universal. It's universal to the position, no matter the field, no matter the application. This is just for you. Are you ready? So we're going to jump in to today. As we say, I'm not going to belabor the moment. I'm going to jump in, but I do want to say I am Apostle Ashley Clater. I've been with Dr. Paul Price's ministry for 22 years and have learned quite a bit. I've come up the ranks from a college kid, started out as an intercessor and praise and worship leader. And then God just pushed me up and I worked my way up the ranks over the period of time. About 3.5 years ago, I was commissioned as an apostle. And so settling into this apostleship after sitting as a prophet for 12 years in that office, and then God elevating me to the apostle, has been quite the journey. I've learned a lot in ministry. Just like in any company, you see a lot of people come, you see a lot of people go. Ministry has turnover rates just like any other place. I mean, I know we don't want to call it a business, but we are for the business of the Lord, the work of ministry, and work is business. And so over the time, you learn a lot. I've learned a lot. I've taught a lot. Now a mentor myself and still a mentee under Dr. Price. There's lessons that will always be available to be learned. Hallelujah. Here we go. Number 10. Now, this really is not in any particular order of intensity, but allowing others to govern your staff. Scripture talks about this, but a mistake that mentors can make is allowing other people to lead your staff, to govern your staff. Now, I'm not talking about in a basic way of the mentee or the subordinate needs to fall in line with the protocol. I'm not talking about that because you have to fall in line with protocol. What I'm saying is that you a mentor allowing somebody else to arbitrarily come in and give instruction and tell them what to do and develop them and to kind of do your job for you. It's like a parent, somebody who has children, allowing other people to discipline their kids and tell them what to do and really not stopping anybody from overstepping in their boundaries and their rules. And now again, to make sure we have balance here, I'm not talking about your kid is acting out and somebody's like, hey, stop running. I'm not talking about that. Or be careful, don't climb on that table because you can get hurt. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about somebody else snatching up your child, somebody else schooling and disciplining them whom you have not authorized to do so. So, a big mistake that mentors can make is allowing other people to govern your staff. Governing is a leadership issue. So what that means is that you want to somebody who does this, who allows other people to govern, is sometimes somebody who is too chicken. And we're going to deal with that later, or too lazy to govern their staff, or too unlearned to govern their staff. And so other people do it. It's like the parents who have the nanny that comes in and does it, the governess that comes in and does it, the housekeeper comes in and does it, your father comes in and does it. Although that's obviously fathers should be doing it. Grandparents are going to do it. Everybody but you is going to do all the heavy lifting, yet you're going to take all the credit for when things are done. So if you are a mentor, you cannot allow somebody else to govern your staff. You can't do it. It's frustrating. It confuses the staff because then they wonder, well, who am I really working for? Who am I really serving? Who's really pouring into me? I didn't really sign up with you for somebody else to be doing your job. And the list goes on and on. So allowing others to govern your staff, just again, think about it in the context of allowing others to govern your home. And what that means, it really then isn't your home after all. You might be paying the bills, your name might be on the front, but whoever is running it, that's who it really belongs to, even if they don't own it per se. Governing your staff is very essential. Governing includes training, development, impartation, spending time with. When we were coming up with Dr. Price, every Sunday after church, we would have leadership training. See, our leadership training now, folk have no idea how easy they have it. But we had leadership training every single Sunday with Dr. Price because we were a new team. We had not worked together. So we were new. We were new to leadership, period. Most of us were young. Not that she was trying to have a young leadership. She wasn't, but that's the way it ended up for the most part. And so she did a lot of hands-on every single Sunday. What she does now in leadership, she did every week. I want you to think about that because if you're a mentor, are you willing to put in the constant time, regularly, monthly, every other week, once a week check in, on a daily basis, sometimes, whatever the situation requires? Are you willing to put that much of you into developing someone else? If you're not, then you're not ready to be a mentor. Maybe you're ready to be a boss. Maybe you're ready to be an instructor. How about a coach, a trainer, maybe? But mentorship from the mentor requires a lot of pouring out on a regular basis because you're training and bringing somebody up to a level, whatever level is decided. Excuse me, and that does not happen by accident, and it should not be passive. So if you are calling yourself a mentor and you have more subordinates developing your mentees than you are, then you are not really mentoring. Now, maybe you need to start an institute. Maybe you need to start a training academy and put your name on it And so your training, your development, your materials are what's driving it and influencing it. You're vetting the people who are going to train and develop. But if again, if you are saying that you're somebody's mentor, then it is not up to everybody around you to do the mentoring, and then you just come in the last 5 minutes, like a cameo appearance in somebody's development, and then take a curtain call and get your name the biggest on the screen because you might have the largest reputation, but you've done the least amount of work. Doop, too soon? Hope not. Number 9, unclear position description. Yeah. See, this is really important that you have a clear position description for those that you are bringing on board as mentees. Just like in your job, just like in your corporate job, whatever job you may have, there is a clear position description, because what does that say to the mentee? What is expected of you? As a mentor, you cannot put a clear position description together if in fact you don't know what you want your mentee to do. Oh, just show up on Monday and we'll get started. Okay. What does that mean, get started? Is there going to be an overview of the position? Are you going to sit down with your mentee and go through paperwork, service hours of required? You're going to be required to be on duty this time, this time, this time, or these types of hours, or whatever. Especially if you're at the top of an organization where your hours are demanding and your mentee oftentimes can fall into assistantship on a personal level, maybe. But if that's going to be you, you need to be upfront about that with the person who you're bringing on as a mentee. Do not be that person who is afraid somebody's going to say no because you're telling them the whole job and it's a lot. And so you kind of downsize it, you pull it back, you minimize when you bring them on board, and then you end up unloading on them a tremendous amount of responsibility. And they'll say, "This is not what you said," because you don't want them to say no. So, in essence, you'll deceive them into saying yes. And that just doesn't work. Excuse me. That's not righteous. It's not fair. And in many places, it's not legal. And so, signing a contract, having some sort of agreement, non disclosure agreement, if you expect your mentees to not tell your business, you actually need to put that in writing, because that's what companies do. Listen, if you have any questions, I want you to post them wherever you're watching. You can post, because I will answer your questions. I want to hear your feedback. I want you to comment if you're in a place where you can comment and say, "Yes, that's me," or "What about this?" or "What about that?" And "I had this experience. Good morning, Lakeisha. I had this experience. And what should I have done? Did I do the right thing?" Maybe you did, maybe you didn't, as a mentor or a mentee. But so if you're a mentee and you're being brought on board, or you are on board, and you never really got a clear description of your position, it is okay to ask, "Is it possible to get something in writing?" or whatever. Now, I'm not talking about that nitty gritty kind of thing that people do when they want to get out of doing something. Like, "Can I get that in writing?" I'm talking about it. There isn't a clear definition. Well, you're going to kind of do this and kind of do that and whatever. I know some people have had to write it up for their mentor. They found it online. I am the queen of copy pasting. And so finding things online that are already written, and then putting it together, modifying it, tweaking it, especially if it's out there. 10 things of this. This is why I love doing these 10 things of this and 10 things of that and 5 things of this and 3 things of that, because it helps people think, okay, how can you tell if you are ready to be a mentee? Wow. Well, you can tell if you're ready to be a mentee if it's not about you. If it really is about becoming what is required of the position, then you're in a good place to possibly, I say possibly, become a mentee, because there's a lot involved in menteeship, not just mentorship. Your life has to be prepared for it. Your schedule has to be prepared for it. Your heart has to be prepared for it. Your ego has to be crushed for it. There's a lot of things that prepare you for it. But in general, when you come to the place of saying, "Not my will, but yours be done, Lord," and you mean it, then you're in a position to want to be. I forgot to put this up on the screen, but that was from Marcia asking that question. And that's a really, really, really good question. If you are not ready to learn of someone else, you're not ready to be a mentee. If you are not prepared to hear where you've missed it, which does not mean a beat down, it does not mean a lecture, it does not mean a tell off. It can be very calmly said over a cup of coffee or tea. But if you're not ready to hear the places where you need work and refinement, you're not ready to be a mentee. If you're not in a place where you want to study and read books in addition to a busy schedule, you're not ready to be a mentee. If you're not ready for additional responsibility in your life on a basic level, you're not ready to be a mentee. If now you can flip all of those statements, then you are ready to possibly be a mentee. And I say that because it really depends on who you're coming under. If you're not ready to meet the requirements of the person that is to mentor you, then maybe you're not ready to be their mentee. For example, are you ready? For example, would you like an example? I have to move my bell over. I just feel a bell moment might be coming. For example, there are people in our organization from coast to coast or here in Tulsa who want to be mentored directly by Dr. Price. I want you, Dr. Price. I don't want your staff. I don't want your team. I want you. Now, if you are somebody of a commensurate position, then that makes sense. It really does. If you are somebody who just got here and you are not of, and you do not only have the calling, but don't have the equipment or the readiness, then that does not make sense because we do things in ministry that we do not do in the world. Most people would not go up to the CEO of the company and demand that they mentor them. They will most likely ask them, who do you recommend? What should I do? Is this something you offer? Things like that. But in ministry, because we've made ministry familial and not professional, there it is. We've made ministry familial and not professional. So we have not made him the author and finisher of our faith, of our profession. Nope, just the family. He's just daddy God. Well, your parents, you can run up on them anytime you want to sometimes. Even on their job, the kid stops by. Oh, your daughter's here. Oh, yeah, let me just go find my dad real quick. Let me find my mom. Let me see what I need to do. Hey, I need some extra money. I need the keys to the car. I need you to handle all this business, running up all crossing all kinds of lines because it's family and then they're out. And so because we made, I will say this again, because we have made ministry familial and not professional, we like to take familial license in this professional arena. In our own organization, I'm going to talk about the embassy for just a minute. We have a front desk. We have protocols. We have people who come up, they honor the protocols. We have people who don't. Some who act like it's social hour at the front desk, talking, 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 talking. And then others who come in and get the job done. Friends come in and think, oh, are you sitting at the front desk and I'll come up and we'll catch up at that time? No, you wouldn't do that in another place. You are not doing it here. Trust me, I am the front desk patrol. Yes, I am. You have been out here for 52 minutes. You've been talking for 45 minutes and you only work a 6-hour shift, you don't get an hour break on a 6-hour shift. See, listen. So again, mentor mentee ship. If you're not ready to be groomed and developed, so you have people with those kind of mentalities demanding to meet with the boss. You don't demand to meet with your boss on your job. I would venture to say some of the people in our church, I've gone to see them on their jobs, depending on what they do. And I have to come check in with the secretary, sit down in the lobby, and then wait for them to come out of their office to meet me and then go into a conference room. I don't demand, well, I just want to go see your office because I'm your ministry leader. I'm at your job now. This is a place of your profession. I have to respect that. And I do respect that because I expect it to be respected here. We have clear rules and people are in shock because we have clear position descriptions. We have clear expectations. And so we have those who want, well, I don't want your, no, all due respect, Dr. Price. I respect you. I don't want your team. I want you. And she's going to say, Just because you said that to me lets me know you're not ready for me. You don't even understand how I think about chain of command, hierarchy in my team, in my leadership. See, sometimes we're asking for things that we're not ready for from a mentor. That's why the mentor chooses the mentee. Denise Baker, what's going on? She says, I think you were a great mentor advisor. Oh, Denise, I miss you. But your grandbabies are cute. But I miss you. Yes. Okay. There needs to be a cutoff age to be a mentor. Is there a, oh, this is such a good question. Good morning, Prophet Love More from South Africa. Thank you for tuning in today. Listen, I'm running my mouth. I need to look down here. Okay. Tania Love, is there a cutoff age to be mentored? No, I don't think there is ever a cutoff age to be mentored. I know people who are in their 60s, 70s, 80s, they have mentors, their mentee, because it keeps that wisdom flowing. So there really isn't an age limit to be mentored, because as long as you are striving or working to achieve something, then you'll need a mentor to assist you in doing that. I know people who are very accomplished in their career, they're older, in their years. And if they're starting something new, they're going to find somebody who can work with them to bring them up. Dr. Price is in a new political arena. This is a whole new world. And there are people who have come alongside, whether officially or unofficially, to say, hey, this is how you do this is how you do that. The grooming process is very essential. You cannot, you can, but I would not recommend throwing yourself at somebody that you want to be your mentor. You know, it's like the Ruth and Boaz. Now, of course, not in the context of marriage, but the Ruth and Boaz, where Ruth was out there working hard, doing her job, doing it well, getting recognized by the people who worked for and with Boaz, and they actually did her bidding for her. She had no idea it was going on. So when you're good at your job, at the level that you are at, those around and who work with your boss and person of influence will oftentimes tell them, because this is how we do. We sit around at the table and we talk. We need somebody to work this department. We need somebody to oversee this initiative. We need somebody to launch this product. We need somebody to do whatever. Well, who do we know? Actually, so and so is coming along quite nicely. Dr. Price will sit at the head table and we'll start talking. So and so is coming along quite nicely in their development. Do you know who surprised me the other day by what they can do and what they've done before? Da 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 da. They came up and started painting, and in conversation, we talked about this is why volunteering is important. Putting yourself in the circle, not just to ingratiate yourself, okay? Let not everything be a strategy to get to the top. Let it be because you believe in it. Because when you believe in it, it comes out. It shows. You exude it. People tell me all the time, man, you just really exude this. You really love what you do. You love your life. Oh, I guess. And you know what I think? Oh, I guess I do. Yeah, I mean, I really do. Well, I certainly don't hate it. I'm certainly not disgruntled. So those are two really good questions. Thank you for those questions. Okay, let's see here. Going to our next number next, poor communication. Number 8, poor communication is one of 10 mistakes that mentors can make in choosing mentees. Poor communication. Well, what does that mean? That means that you're not articulating clearly what you're wanting out of the mentee or what this relationship is supposed to be. You're not communicating clearly there. You're not articulating it. It's not in writing anywhere. And the more someone tries to get it out of you, it's and then especially lazy leaders. We will talk about lazy leaders probably another day. Lazy leaders will put it back on you to figure out. Now, this is from Jump Street. I'm not talking about you've been with somebody for a long time and you're asking questions that are just ridiculous for somebody in your position. I'm not talking about that at all. That's when your boss does say, I'm not going to sit down and revisit this with you. Go figure this out for yourself. You know better. You have books, training books, manuals. We've sat down. I'm not talking about that. What I'm talking about is having clear communication about what you want. What I absolutely love about working for Dr. Paula Ann Price, Patricia Webb, Dr. Paula A. Price, is her communications are 100% clear. From the time I met her until now, 22 years. She's not a schizophrenic leader. She doesn't communicate one way in one season and then just kind of change the game and then something else. And you're like, where are we today and what's going on? What she wants, she wants. What she likes, she likes. What she can't stand, she can't stand. And really doesn't change. Now, that's not to say she won't throw a zinger out there. a new project's coming. I'm working on 16 books. Okay, that'll happen. That's normal, but that's normal for who she is. But the consistency in her leadership makes it very easy for me to do the job. Her communications, her clear communications for so many years make it easy to do the job. So even if, let's just say, we're in a place where I need to make a decision, I can't reach her because she's writing or something like that, or traveling, although I'm usually with her when she's traveling, but I could say, based on how she would communicate this, this is what I need to respond. Or we've talked about this earlier, or she's prepared me for something. So and so is going to reach out to you. And so when they do, I tell them that I'll do this. Tell them I can't do that. Tell them I won't do that. Okay. And so even those types of communications are really essential. So poor communication is a mistake that mentors make with their mentees, where they think they're being clear. You'll know. Here's a test. Do you want to know how if you're communicating clearly? Do you want to know? This is how you know. By how many times people ask you to clarify what you just said, to explain what you just said. Did you send that to question if you even communicated that? Like, if that happens a lot to you from various people, not just one, because sometimes you're that one person who's always mentally checked out, that one person who always goes to the bathroom when you're about to give instructions. That's that one person who was there. But I'm not talking about, those people. But if you're consistently hearing that from people in various parts of your world who may or may not be connected together, then you might be a poor communicator and you don't even realize it. Many people who are poor communicators think that their communications are fine. It's just everybody else who has the problem. But if there are multiple people in multiple places who are pretty much telling you the same thing about not understanding or knowing or digesting or even relaying your information clearly, then it's you. It's not them. Hope that helped. Okay, here we go. Vague position description. Vague position description. This is the next thing. This is kind of tied to the beginning, but vague position description. What is this really all about? So, not having a position description and then a vague position description is also not beneficial to you as a mentor mentee relationship. If people can't nail down details, like if you can't be detailed in your expectations of a mentee, you're not ready for a mentee. If you can't sit down and say, okay, mentee is going to do this, this, and this, not this, this, and this. This is what you're going to grow into. This is where you're going to start. If you can't do all those things, then you're just not ready to have somebody in that position. If you are a mentee and you have vague position description, vague communications, and no matter what you do, you cannot get clarity, I'm just going to say right now the chances of you actually having a successful mentorship relationship is probably small. I know people who have served people for years and years, and things were never really clear. And at the end of their service, it still wasn't clear. Well, what did you get from that? Well, it was just an honor to serve the man or woman of God. Let me tell you something. Somebody serving you and being a mentee, although there tends to be overlap, are not the same position. Your personal assistant can just be your personal assistant and does not necessarily have to be your mentee. Your boss can be your boss and not necessarily be your mentor. And so we like to kind of blend things together, even in our own understanding. And sometimes it needs to be separate. Sometimes you just need a personal assistant, an executive assistant. You need somebody to handle your business affairs, your personal affairs, and you're not going to develop them or train them beyond that, like in their everyday job. People who get a boss who actually pours into them in secular corporate America, they're like, oh my goodness, what a gift, not an expectation. What a gift. But again, because in the body of Christ, we have the expectation of family and nurturing in everything that we do. It makes it hard for a lot of ministry leaders to just be developmental or to just be a boss when you are outside of the work. I mean, our organization here we have, I don't know how many meetings we have in a month, business meetings for various things. I meet with every department in the church. And then there are the rehearsals. And then there's the Price University meetings that happen, and the embassy, budgeting, finance meetings, the event meetings. And now we have the daycare that we're opening up, the daycare meetings, and everything else going on. This is a business. We're not kicking it in the cafe all day, sipping on coffee and eating donuts. I mean, we have donuts on Friday, but that's it. Okay. So, vague position description. Inconsistency in leadership. So we've gone from other people leading your team to inconsistency in your leadership. But what does that mean? That means that, for example, when you're mad, all of a sudden you're going to come in like gangbusters. You're going to be the heavy handed leadership. I want these reports and I want to see this, and boom, 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 boom. And then that fades off. And then you're, coming in whenever and doing whatever. And sometimes people are accountable to you, sometimes they're not. Sometimes you're accountable to them, sometimes you're not. That's inconsistency in leadership. And you have to really be aware that that's how you are in your leadership, because many people don't even realize they're inconsistent in how they lead. They're inconsistent in what they say. They're inconsistent in what they do, because to them, no, I'm not. I'm there. No, are you on time? Or do you come in? Do you follow your own schedule? Do you tell your team to be ready at a certain time and then you're not ready at that time? Or again, are you an emotional leader? Are you led by your feelings? When things are great, you're chilling, you're relaxed, and yes, everything is good. And then when you're upset, that's when you want to lay down the law and everything. And then once you mellow out, and I mean, when kids who are raised with parents like that, what they know is, oh, mom and dad are upset, they'll be fine, they'll get over it. Yeah, the boss is upset. He or she will just be coming in for a couple weeks and then they'll go back to whatever your normal flow is. So, inconsistency in leadership. And I'm sorry that that is spelled incorrectly, but it is. Okay, number 5, passive aggressive behavior. Woo, passive aggressive behavior. Can we talk about passive aggressive behavior for just a moment? Passive aggressive behavior is the number 5 of 10 mistakes that mentors make with their mentees in choosing them or in working with them. Passive aggressive behavior. Passive aggressive behavior is you not being honest in a moment and then retaliating another way later. Passive aggressive is, oh, I'm so sorry, I apologize. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. Everything is okay. Everything is okay. Everything is okay. Everything is not okay. And the next thing this person knows, that their hours are being cut, they're getting the cold shoulder. All of a sudden, you choose to have another group of mentees or favorites that you have, and they realize they did mess up. You were upset. You just didn't say you were upset. And now you're punishing them because you're really upset. That's weak leadership. That's what we call weak. It is weak when you can't be honest with your people. You don't have to yell at somebody to tell them that they made a mistake. You don't have to crush their will to live and crush their ego and just destroy their identity to say that. Absolutely not, because that's abusive leadership. But passive aggressive behavior is you in the moment, in the opportunity when you can and should be facing something, you don't, but you retaliate later another way that you feel is safer for you. A lot of passive aggressive people don't even realize they are. Many passive aggressive people were raised in a heavy handed abusive household, maybe had a disciplinarian for parents or grandparents or custodian, whoever, was the guardians over their life. And so they've learned that they can't fight. I say fight back, defend themselves frontally. So they do it passively. Well, those people grow up and those habits don't change. And so you do not want to be and have passive aggressive behavior. Do not be a weak mentor who can't say, okay, we need to talk. We need to work this out. We need to address this. We need to do whatever. Because when you do that so many times, people realize they actually can't trust you. Well, they said everything is fine, but I'm just waiting for the other shoe to drop. And that can happen in a mentor mentee relationship. And what happens is that mentee might ultimately float off to someone else or somewhere else. You won't see it coming and then say that they are the dishonest person when really it's you as the mentor, where people can't be honest with you. Can people be honest with you? I mean, now we all say, I just want people to be honest, but can they? When they're honest with you, do you turn it back on them? Do you deflect? Do you say, I mean, you're not perfect either? That's my favorite one. Well, you're not perfect either. Don't deflect, okay? Don't redirect the issue. Be man and woman enough to own it, work through it, do it, and take care of it. So I want you to do me a favor and share right now. Share this broadcast, share and tag people. We're going to take a quick break here, 60 seconds or probably less. Tell you about the Tulsa Prophetic Training Institute coming up here in June in Tulsa, Oklahoma.
Mark your calendars for June 15th through the 18th in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Dr. Paula Price, author of the Prophet's Dictionary, hosts her annual Tulsa Prophetic Training Institute. This year's theme is the station of the prophet in God's future, unlocking the future of the Almighty with the key of prophecy. Keynote speakers include Prophet Elizabeth Ty Fook, Prophet C.T. Johnson, Assistant Chief Prophet Angela Powers, and Chief Prophet Tala Price. Register your teenagers for our youth conference. Our youth theme is Identity, the Key to Destiny, Redeeming This Generation. Visit www.drpaulaaprice.com to register individuals, teens, and groups today.
All right, Tulsa Prophetic Training Institute here in June. We want you to join us. I'm handling the youth conference, Identity, the Key to Destiny. If you have young people, send them or bring them to this conference and their lives will be changed. It's a great time that we have at TPTI. Okay, so let's go to number 4. Not vetting the potential mentee. I've done a whole mini series. I think on vetting, the agony of vetting, the mentorship mentee process. Number 4, not vetting the potential mentee. What does that mean? That means not taking their word for it that they're good at what they say they're good at. If they came from another, like in your corporate job, you're looking at their resume and then you follow up. Many times in ministry, we don't require people to bring a resume. And so we take their word for it that they're good at what they say they're good at. Not so much anymore here. I need your resume. Who else have you served? Who else have you worked under? Is this your first mentor-mentee relationship? Let me talk to the people who know you. Who is your current employer or your previous boss? Why did you leave your last church or ministry? See, this is the question now that I really want to know. Why did you leave the last place? Did you serve the leader there? How did you part ways? And would you mind if I checked into it? Because one thing that I have seen over and over and over again is people who habitually blame the institution and blame leaders. We're just next in line. It's going to start great. It's going to start romantic. It's just wonderful. We all just love each other. And then somebody's feathers get ruffled. Something happens. And sooner or later, the institution and the leader is always the bad guy. When I see people where every reason that they left an institutional organization is because they had a falling out with the leadership or the ministry as a whole, then what we have come to conclude is we're just going to be next in your list of people. Now, everybody can have a bad experience somewhere, obviously. But when it's one church, two church, 3 ministries, 4 ministries, you can't stay put anywhere longer than 3 years. You can't stay anywhere. This is the 8th place you've lived, the 10th place you lived in as many years. Then we've concluded then this is just your pattern. This is your routine. And we're not going to get caught up in that. Well, talk to me. This is also why we make people earn the privilege of being mentored, because sometimes they don't know what's on the inside of them. If you're just here to snatch and grab information, well, enroll in the online school, buy all the books that we have online, and don't waste my time, because true mentor-menteeship is about mentoring somebody who is going to benefit your field or your personal business or ministry. So if there are people rolling through who are consistently keep moving, and not standing still, that lets you know they're probably not going to stand still for you. It is so flattering in the beginning when somebody comes in and says that the previous leader was whatever, but not you, so and so. You're the real deal. You're the one. You can rest assured that whenever they met that person, they probably said the same thing about their previous leadership. And then it happens. So many times we'll make people wait just to see if they're going to be around. It's good business. So not vetting your potential mentee can be very problematic, and they can be a liability and you don't know it. Vetting them, seeing, well, you know what, I want you to work in these departments, I don't want to work in those departments. Okay, then you can't be my, like, we as leaders around here do not mentor people who are not interested in seeing the organization prosper. For example, knowing who's a good potential mentee on a basic cursory level. Do they only, now I'm going to talk about the ministry context because this is what we do, but this also applies to business. Do they only show up when you show up as the mentor, the leader? Or do they show up when you're not around to take care of your affairs in business, whether they have a position or not, meaning volunteering for departments, helping out with projects and things like that? If they only show up when they know you're going to be there, they're not going to be a good mentee, because they don't care about your organization. They only care about being seen with you, or they only care about what they can get from you, or they only want to be seen by you. So you think that they care. And at which point, when your boots on the ground, then they're helping over here. And, oh, is there anything you need me to do over there? But when you're not around, they're absent. That's one of the first things we look for. And not just one or two times, but consistently. We have people in our organization who have very demanding jobs, yet they still find the time, and families, and they still find the time to show up whenever things need to get done. Oh, you guys need so and so? We'll make it happen. Oh, I can be up. You know what? Let me log out of my job for a minute. I can tell my boss I'll be back. They have that flexibility. Some people don't. Others come after work all the time on a regular basis to get things done. Don't really want any recognition. I'm not doing this to get an award. I'm just here because I believe in it. See, these are the people that you should consider for mentorship, because they have a heart and a passion to tend to your pasture when you're not around, versus the other people who are only there, ta-da, when it's required. And when it's time to get work done, they're conveniently busy, sidetracked, having conversations on the phone. So your job is always calling you when you're here. That's very interesting, because when you're here, you can't do what you came here to do. Very interesting as well. Number 3, skipping an established probationary period. That is mistake number 3. We're coming down to 1 here. This is mistake number 3, skipping an established probationary period. A mentor should never skip probation with a mentee. That mentee should know before they sign up with you, before you bring them on board, or as you're talking to them about this, you will have a 6-month, 12-month, 3-year, whatever probationary period in this position to make sure that we are a good fit. So number 3 mistake that mentors make in choosing mentees is skipping an established probationary period. As a commissioned apostle, we had 36 months probation. Our ordained prophets, 36 months probation. You have to prove for 3 years that you're compatible with the office, that you're compliant with the office, that you're doing its duties. The assessment talks about customary duties and demands, that you are assimilating and blending, that you're a caretaker of the organization, that you're actually doing what you said you would do in your praxis and portfolio over the next 3 years. There are no guaranteed positions, like police officers and people who come into certain ranks and offices are on probation for a certain amount of time, meaning we're giving you a plastic badge for 3 years. And then after that, you'll get your real shield. And so having now your probationary period might be 6 months. It might be 12. I would say a minimum of 12 months, because you need to see somebody in a variety of circumstances and situations to know how they're going to respond. Would you like to know what some of those situations are? I will tell you some of them. For example, how they handle stress and pressure, how they handle being told off by people, how they handle being dismissed by people, how they handle having downtime, vacation time. How do they act when their friends and family are around? Some people, when their friends are around, they're totally distracted from the job. Like, totally. Where's so and so? Their back is turned to their boss. They're not paying attention on the job. They're doing whatever. They're over here. They're over there. They're not doing it. How do they respond to all those things? Now, if there needs to be work in those areas, does that mean that they're not going to be a good mentee? No. Oh, we can work that out in training. Oh, that's going to be some development. Okay. And then you give them training development. You need to give people books to read. Okay. Books, half the books I have back here. Training and development and things like that to say, oh yeah, they worked that out. Oh yes. Okay, good, good, good. Then they're just working through it. They're being developed. They're letting it happen. Is your mentee where you are? I look for this in my own mentees, the own people that I train, and the ones that are being trained by the other leaders. Are you where I am? Are you watching my broadcast? Are you following? Maybe you have to do it later. We do this with Dr. Price. She'll know, for example, Sunday at the leadership table, Prophet Tamira was running down what Dr. Price said on the Jesus and Paula show on Thursday. Well, she works on Thursday, so she can't watch it Thursday, or she works Friday. She works Saturday. Listen, when did you even watch this show? She watched it and was able to run it down because she's a prophet of the house, and Dr. Price is teaching on the prophet's office. And so she was able to boom, boom, boom. I mean, off the top of her head, I don't even know what we were talking about. And she brought it up actually. See, this is what a mentor mentee is looking for. Oh, so you are paying attention to what I'm doing. You are taking notes. You are actually online when I'm online. You are paying. So this is part of the probationary period, the established probationary period. And they know they're being tested. They know it needs to be clear. Not this, well, I'm not going to tell you because I want to see if you know. Come on now. If somebody's job is writing on it, you probably want to be just in giving them points of which they will be assessed. That would be nice. Number 2 mistake, choosing your favorite person or your favorite relative. This is my niece, this is my nephew, just because you're related, or choosing your children just because they're your children. Well, your child may or may not be called to this particular career. They may or may not be the one suited to be mentored in this position. So number 2 mistake is choosing your favorite person because they're your favorite, because you get along socially, because they make you feel good, because they're good company. Just because somebody is good company doesn't make them a good mentee. Woo! Just because somebody is good company does not make them a good mentee. Just because, I will say it again for the people in the back, just because somebody is good company does not make them a good mentee. It might make them a good companion, social companion, travel companion, and these are all positions. Travel companion, being a companion to someone, but that might be the extent of it. Choosing your favorite person, choosing somebody because they're related to you. And how about this? Choosing, I'm going to say this, choosing a relative because you feel you don't have to pay them if this is paid in general, or employ them. Mm-mm. Sometimes the closer you are to somebody, the harder it can be. Sometimes the more familial you are, the harder it can be. And so number 2 mistake, choosing your favorite person, choosing them because you favor them. And then you're like, oh, you know what? I want to mentor you. You have got to know, are they compatible with you in the professional side of things or only personal? Very important. And the number 1 mistake I have is choosing out of desperation. Woo! Choosing out of desperation is the number 1 mistake that I have seen mentors make in choosing a mentee. Choosing out of desperation. Oh my, you just need the help. That's not the reason to get a mentee. You just need to be offloaded. It's not a reason to get a mentee. You just need somebody to do this for you. That's not a reason. That's why you get an assistant. That is not why you have a mentee. And you need to separate Do I need an assistant or do I need a mentee? And then go all the way back to what we talked about at the beginning, writing it out. I need you to do these things. I'm not saying that we're going to sit down and have coffee together. I'm not saying that we're going to do this at this point or whatever. I need you to do this on a professional level. Tell them professional. Now, some people still can't hear you. You say professional, they think mom and dad ministerial. I'm sorry to hear that. But that is the number one reason to not choose a mentee, is because you are desperate, or because the person you had left, or maybe just their training has concluded. Okay, it doesn't have to be a falling out. And it's okay to say no. I mean, I did not have a mentee. I did not have an assistant for a long time, over a few occasions once I was ordained and everything like that, because the one I had wasn't able to do it anymore, and released them from that. And I just did things myself, because the mentee servanthood here in our organization, if you come under the mentee mentor, then you will serve, because this is a service position. So if you can't serve your leader, you will not serve the organization. You're not going to be good at it. You're going to pump around like a peacock and the feathers and your chest out. And it's going to be all about things that the position is not about primarily. And so I just did not have one for a long time, because I thought, no, 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 because I'm not going to do it out of desperation. I'm not going to do it out of laziness. I'm not going to do it because I'm overwhelmed. All of those are the wrong motivations for bringing somebody on board, because it tends to be rocky. I have never seen it where it isn't rocky. It just isn't. So I hope that was beneficial to you today. On today, an apostle of the future. Make sure you share this with people. If you have not shared, oh, Prophet Lovemore, let's see. Question. He says, what are some of the things you can do to make sure a mentee doesn't become familiar with you and their assignment? Oh, this is such a good question. And I just saw it 1 minute till. That's all right. I'm going to give you an answer. Start out by saying, honestly, flat out. For example, Dr. Price said to me early in the game, the minute my voice has no effect on you, we're done, because I am here to get you to a certain place. And so anytime familiarity has crept in, which hasn't been too often in 22 years, there's a hold on. Do we need to reset some things here? And it's very upfront. And so you can be upfront just like that. My role is not to be familiar with you. Don't get it twisted. I know why I'm in your life, because when you, as the mentor, start out by saying why you know why you're in somebody's life, and they know, and you know why they're in your life, and you hold the line, the consistency in leadership, you maintain that, then it really does prevent familiarity. Even myself, I am very friendly, but I'm not very familiar. I can be very social. I don't give people the impression that I want to be buddy buddy with everybody. I surely don't. And I'm like, hold on. And when people try to run up in that personal space, what are you doing? What are you doing? Because people who intentionally push in on your personal space are doing it for their own advantage, even if they don't realize it. But I just want to take you out. I just want to give you dinner. I just want to bless you. I just want to do all those things. I'll send a gift card, give it to Rachel, my assistant, do all those kind of things. You got to earn. Again, who goes up to the CEO on their who goes up to their boss talking about I want to take you out? You have got to earn that right. And sometimes that right is sometimes it's never an option to earn that right, to just consume people's time. And so that's how you can prevent. What you can do is to be upfront about it. For example, not having people in your home too much, even your mentee mentor relationship, meeting at the church. Let's just say, since you're a minister, meeting at the facility. If let's just say if you don't have a facility, meeting in a public place, not bringing everything home, not even sharing too much about yourself personally. That helps in keeping things from becoming too familial. But you, as a leader, it is up to you to maintain those boundaries and maintain those standards. And I'll close by saying, if you do not know why that mentee is in your life, you cannot mentor them. You should not mentor them. And it can't just be about what they do for you. For example, 10 years ago, Dr. Price prophesied to me this, my cosmetic line, Ashley C. Cosmetics. Ashley C. Cosmetics. This is my cherry on top lipstick. I'm wearing it. It's my absolute favorite color lipstick. It's wonderful. It's rich. It's creamy. It's fantastic. It is mineral based. Ashley C. Cosmetics. Check me out online. But the point of this is not to have an ad for myself, although I will put this up on the bottom of the screen. The point is this. She told me 10 years ago, Ashley, you're going to have a cosmetics line. I was like, isn't that interesting? Now, of course, I've always loved it. Hair, nails. I was always been this person since I was a wee little girl. Always that person. You can ask my mom. My hair had to be done. My nails had to be done. It had to be right when I was little. And so I didn't one day just wake up and say, oh, I think I want to be a fashionista. At that time, that wasn't even a word. And so she told me 10 years ago that I was going to have my cosmetics line. She said, I see it's going to be called Ashley C. Cosmetics, and rolled it out. Well, at that time, it was much harder to do things along that order then as it is now. I was nowhere near ready. My soul wasn't even ready for that idea. I was like, okay. And so a couple years ago, she came back around to it, said, now is the time. Here we are. As a mentor, she was not just telling me about apostle, prophet, church, but about the totality of what God had in store for my life. The totality. And even now, I'm now writing another book along this series, along this line, because she's like, this is a stream that God is going to use. So your mentor has got to be able to speak into all of who God made you to be, and not just the aspect that benefits them personally. One more bell. Yes, one more bell. Okay. And so if you want to give and sow into Ashley C Ministries, my goodness, I had to, oh, the phone is ringing. I'm on, I'm on a broadcast. Okay. You can do that. Dr. Ashley is my cash tag, or paypal.me/Dr. Ashley, or you can also Zelle me. It's my work email, ashley@ppmglobalresources.com, I think. Anyway, and so this right here, now this is just a symbol of what amazing mentorship can do, completely breaking me into a whole other bracket that is not tied to the gospel, not tied to anything like that out front, as far as, let me do this way. It is lipstick, but there's lipsticks, there's eyeshadow, there's BB cream. I'm just saying, body care, skincare, check it out. But there's all these things out there, because being under the right mentor doesn't just pull out of you what is beneficial for your mentor. So if you're a mentor who is only looking for somebody to serve you, then again, you just need to hire somebody. If you have somebody that you're mentoring and you really cannot crack open their prophetic book, their life, what God has called them to do, then you're really actually not assigned to be their mentor. Now, it could be because they've been through certain things and making it difficult to press into who they are. But by and large, a mentor is supposed to be able to look into your life, speak into your life, and change your life. That concludes today's broadcast. I hope you were blessed. I did. I had a great time. Thanks for tuning into Apostle of the Future. Join us this Sunday at the Congregation of the Mighty, where God stands. You can watch online, or you can join us here in Tulsa, Oklahoma. God bless.